A resilient life, the mindset of a day trader. Her crabby old aunt and uncle even left her their small fortune when they died. What exactly to do with that fortune actually became one of Katy's rare headaches. She knew her uncle had invested it so well that he and his wife had lived on it for years. But then, they already owned their house and cars. Besides, Katy liked working in business management and entrepreneurship. For years now, her goal had been to start her own business. She had planned to work her way through the ranks of her current job, saving money and building experience, until she had enough capital to strike out on her own. Now this little fortune was making her feel like she might be able to take a faster route. When Katy moved out of her parents' house, she'd gone to Miami, where the headquarters of the massive company she worked for were located. There she rented a 17th floor apartment, as close to the beach as she could get. The view from her room was pretty great. Katy had always been an early riser, a lover of the sunrise. Sometimes she even got up early enough to go out and see it rise over the ocean. Seeing the sun peek over the shimmering water, unhurried and untried, ready to bathe the world in generous light for another day, just as it had for millennia, made her too feel ready and eager to brighten her world in whatever smaller way she could for another day. Katy had flown back home for her aunt and uncle's funeral. It was the least she could do, and besides, she actually would miss them. In fact, she was probably the only person alive who should miss them. The legacy hadn't come as a surprise to her. They'd told her years ago that she was their heir, and her brothers had only been mildly annoyed. Katy hasn't done much to deserve it, Ethan said. But then, I've done less. But the size of it was a surprise to everyone. When she got back home, Katy sat down to do the thinking she had purposefully been avoiding up till now. When she really got to thinking about it, she decided that the problem wasn't that it was too much money or that it was too little, but it was exactly the wrong sort of in-between amount. It was exactly the sort of amount she couldn't just spend on something fancy for herself, but at the same time, not enough to start any one of the half a dozen business ideas she had. Katy bustled around her little kitchen, preparing herself a comfortable evening snack of eggs and French toast and bacon. The sizzling smell of frying meat combined with the scent of eggs and milk on the toast. The kitchen was Katy's favorite room in her apartment. She kept it well stocked, with the cleverest gadgets and spotlessly clean. It was a beautifully designed space, with large windows facing east, letting the light flood into the room. The marbled accent wall and light brown cabinets contributed to the lively feeling, and Katy particularly loved the 3 lamps suspended from the ceiling over the bar, even if she did occasionally knock her head on them when she leaned over to put something on the opposite end of the counter. She had gotten to the point of dreaming about her future career as a successful entrepreneur and was imagining herself signing million-dollar secret contracts with top executives behind closed doors when her nose warned her that the French toast would not survive on the griddle forever. Katy jumped from her seat at the bar and just managed to save her meal from burning. She was a perfectionist when it came to meal presentation. Even though she was by herself, Katy took the time to slice the toast diagonally in half, to cut the perfect square of butter, and place it on top of the stack, to drizzle syrup elegantly over everything, to arrange the bacon just right, and position the fried eggs artistically to the side, and to pour herself a glass of vibrant orange juice. Then, she had to quickly whisk all the implements she'd used out of sight. The spatula, the electric griddle, even the butter dish, before she was ready to sit down and enjoy a perfect meal. "If I'm going to cook for myself," Katy sometimes said, "I'm going to do it right." With that all done, she was ready to go back to thinking. There was certainly no way to stretch this capital to cover any of her favorite business ideas. Of course, it would be plenty to start a small business, but that wasn't what Katy had in mind. She would need a few tens of thousands more dollars. In total, an amount of money that Katy had never seriously expected to have. But this legacy was tantalizingly close. Wasn't there a way to build it up just a little farther? It didn't have to be something instantaneous or something easy. The financial world had always fascinated Katy, as her interest in business proved. She followed the markets closely and understood the basic trends, sometimes well enough to have wished she had a few $1,000s to invest and make a quick profit with. Now, she had considerably more than that, but it was making her a little nervous to think of actually risking money on the market. Did she really understand it well enough to make short-term gains? Sure, she'd called some good shots in the past, but that had been without money on the line.